1,800 light-years away lies a massive rocky world, orbiting a star much like our Sun. Its name is Kepler-452b. Finding a planet squarely in the habitable zone means there is a chance for liquid water and human survival. But just how impossible is the trip back home? What unseen silent threat is hiding in plain sight? And why would you need to get absolutely jacked before arriving? Here is what happens if you lived on Kepler-452b. Okay, you're here. Let's get the bad news out of the way first, because there's a lot of it. And none of it is spiffy. Dust off your boots. You are in for a seriously rough time. Kepler-452b is 60% bigger than Earth. Scientists figure its mass is somewhere between 3.3 and 5 times ours. They're not completely sure yet, which is its own kind of terrifying. What they are sure about: the surface gravity here is roughly double what your human body actually evolved for. You know that feeling when you carry your kid on your shoulders up a steep flight of stairs? That's just walking now. Forever. Your 180-pound frame suddenly behaves exactly like 360 pounds of dead weight. Your heart, the one muscle that's been coasting through your adult life, now has to pump like it's running a marathon. It's a non-stop sprint, just to keep blood in your brain instead of pooling uselessly in your feet. Fighter pilots wear G-suits for exactly this reason. Compression gear forcefully stops blood from abandoning ship during high-G combat turns. You didn't pack one. Hope you brought a seriously good core. Standing up from a chair is a max-effort deadlift. Dropping your keys and bending over to pick them up is the most grueling physical challenge of your entire week. Your knees buckle. Your lower back screams. The sheer effort of staying upright is exhausting. You are way over your head. Alright, you're standing, you're breathing. Maybe this double gravity thing is survivable after all. Cool. Now let's talk about how you're getting home. On Earth, escaping gravity takes a rocket hitting 11.2 kilometers per second. That's completely insane. We build massive metal skyscrapers chock full of explosive liquid just to scrape into orbit. On Kepler-452b, with nearly double the gravity holding you hostage, escape velocity jumps to almost 20 kilometers per second, 19.8 to be exact. Doesn't sound like much until you do the brutal energy math. Launching 1 kilogram into space from Earth costs about 60 megajoules. On Kepler-452b, closer to 240. 4 times the fuel. 4 times the fuel. 4 times the rocket. 4 times everything you didn't pack. You can't just strap a bigger fuel tank to your ship in a jiff. More fuel means more weight, meaning you need even more fuel to lift the extra fuel. It is a vicious, inescapable physics trap, which means whatever slick ship brought you out here probably can't take you back. You bought a one-way mortgage on a massive rock with double the rent, terrible weather, and absolutely no resale value. You are marooned. So you're staying. Might as well figure out what staying actually looks like. Take a deep breath, sit down on the dirt, and stare up at that alien sun. Kepler-452, the star you're currently orbiting, is 6 billion years old. 1.5 billion years older than our Sun. Old stars don't dim gracefully. They swell. They get angry. They get bigger. They get brighter. This one is already 20% brighter than what you grew up under, and about 10% larger. Your orbital year here takes 384.8 days, but you're catching it 10% hotter in total energy than Earth ever receives. 10% doesn't sound like much until your thermostat's already broken. Remember the absolute worst heatwave summer you can think of? The one where the AC bill made you want to move into the walk-in freezer at work? Where grabbing your steering wheel felt like grabbing a hot frying pan? Now make that the baseline, forever. You are going to sweat in places you didn't even know you had pores. Toasty doesn't even begin to cover it. And the atmosphere here is incredibly thick. Thick enough to trap that extra heat like a suffocating blanket nobody asks for. Thick enough that the pressure alone could severely mess with your eardrums the second you step outside. Sound familiar? It should. It's the exact same runaway greenhouse process that turned Venus from a possibly habitable world. Now, it's the most hostile, face-melting place in the solar system. You're standing inside a cosmic pressure cooker. Okay, good news. You finally found water. A lake, actually. Smack dab in the middle of a valley. Looks absolutely stunning. Crystal clear, perfectly calm. A real alien oasis. Don't get too comfortable. Volcanic planets don't just threaten you with magma flows and earthquakes. The real danger might be sitting perfectly quietly at the bottom of that lake. Carbon dioxide, slowly leaking from volcanic vents deep below and building up in the freezing water, completely invisible. Extreme water pressure acts like a massive lid, keeping highly concentrated pockets of gas trapped on the floor. All it takes is a small tremor, and on a planet this geologically active, tremors aren't rare at all. A tiny quake flips that water inside out. Think of vigorously shaking a soda can and popping the tab. The CO2 saturated bottom swaps places with the surface, and the gas erupts. No smell, no warning, no sound. Just a silent, deadly burp from the deep. Because carbon dioxide is heavier than the air you breathe, it doesn't rise and disperse. It hugs the ground and rolls outward like an invisible, unstoppable river. It creeps through the valleys, instantly suffocating absolutely anything that breathes oxygen in its path. You try to gasp, but your lungs are totally empty. This isn't science fiction. It happened right here on Earth, back in 1986, at a crater lake in Cameroon called Lake Nyos. A sudden limnic eruption sent a massive cloud of carbon dioxide sweeping through the valleys, quietly killing 1,746 people overnight. It wiped out entire villages without making a single sound. Now imagine that exact kind of lake is the prettiest thing on the entire planet, and you just unpacked your folding chair right next to it. Crap. What a massive buzzkill. Say you somehow survive all of that. Say your kids do too. And their kids. Fast forward 10,000 years. What does your bloodline even look like by then? Evolution is a brutal sculptor. Gravity doesn't negotiate. Over thousands of years, your descendants get shorter. Every extra inch of height is extra leverage that double gravity uses to compress joints and snap a spine. Bye-bye to those 6-foot dreams. Their leg bones adapt. They thicken into something closer to heavy tree trunks than human femurs. They have to, just to support the massive load of standing upright without crumbling into a heap. Every mundane movement on this planet is hardcore resistance training. Walking to the mailbox is a grueling leg day. The most completely sedentary, lazy office worker on Kepler-452b would walk around with the muscular build of a professional Earth bodybuilder. Not because they chose to hit the gym, but because the planet itself simply doesn't allow soft bodies to exist. You either carry dense, thick muscle, or you collapse. Their chest cavities widen dramatically. Their lungs expand to pull in whatever breathable air they can find under that crushing atmospheric pressure. Their hearts grow thicker walls, much stronger chambers, built from birth to do exactly what yours is straining to do right now. Push heavy blood uphill against double gravity every second for an entire lifetime. It's an evolutionary brute force upgrade. Their skin thickens and darkens generation after generation. It's the only real biological defense against a bloated sun quietly cooking this planet for 6 billion years. Look close enough at your distant great-great-grandchildren, and what you're seeing isn't really human anymore. It's just what's left of human, after the planet finally finished editing. Meanwhile, back on the planet you left behind, the one that's currently complaining about a 2-degree temperature rise. Here's the thing nobody wants to say out loud. Earth 2.0 was never really the right name. Kepler-452b isn't a shiny backup plan for when we inevitably trash our own house. It's closer to a terrifying preview. It shows us exactly what happens to a rocky, wet planet a billion years further down the same road we are already on. And here is the part that should really bother you. Scientists still aren't completely sure Kepler-452b is actually real. A 2018 statistical reanalysis of the exact same telescope data that originally found it raised serious, highly debated doubts it ever existed. NASA's Exoplanet Archive currently flags this world as controversial. By 2025, the estimated false positive probability finally dropped below 1%, but that nagging doubt remains buried in the math. Something about it was always a little fishy. You might have just risked absolutely everything, packed up your entire life, and spent all that rocket fuel just to move to Aruma. A smudge on a lens. Before you fade away into a statistical error, do me one last favor. Hit that subscribe button and leave a like right now, so we can keep exploring the absolute worst vacation spots in the galaxy. So if the best Earth 2.0 candidate we found might just be a glitch in the data, what does that say about the ones we haven't found yet? The universe has laws, but we're here to push them to the breaking point. Until then, catch you on the next one.